Great. Thanks, Marshall. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome to the first Q&A of the 2026 year. Hope everyone had a good holiday break. I know we had the last two Q&As off for the holidays. Announcements. Really no big announcements other than we are at the tail end of fall one. Finally, the amendment window is ending on January 23rd. And at that point, you do want to have everything LEA approved and SULPA approved that's Friday, January the 23rd. And also going on right now is fall two. You're perfectly able to work on your fall twos. You can look at your certification reports, get your data in, check your reports. The final deadline for fall two is February 27th, and there is no amendment window for fall two. So that's just it. When February 27 hits, that's the final deadline. So please continue to work on your fall two. There is fall two training going on right now, and with that, I'm going to pass it over to Matt Clark, and he's going to give us a little announcement about fall two training.
All right. Thank you, Gary, and Happy New Year, everyone. So Fall 2 live training began this week with Fall 2 data population having taken place yesterday, Tuesday, January 6th, and Fall 2 reporting and certification set to take place tomorrow, Thursday, January 8th. The Fall 2 advanced reporting and certification course that was scheduled for this morning, January 7th, was unfortunately canceled due to resource limitations, and we do apologize for any inconvenience that this may have caused. We encourage you to register for the live Fall 2 Advanced Reporting and Certification session that's scheduled for January 13th on the CALPADS training registration page. Alternatively, you may also view the on-demand recordings of this session on the CALPADS YouTube training channel right now. And I'll place links to both the CALPADS training registration page and the self-paced advanced video on the CALPADS YouTube training channel in chat here now. And that's all I got, Gary.
All right. Thanks, Matt. And I believe we did have a deployment yesterday. Angela, did you have any announcements that you wanted to make?
Yes, I think we didn't have any deployments over the break, but so we had one going yesterday. So the active and fixed known issues is up to date now. We have a current bug that's started yesterday where sometimes on the extract screen, they're going to a status of request raised and not going for any further. We heard that the developer has a fix for it, and we were expecting a patch today. It's getting kind of late in the day, so I'm not sure if it's going to come today or tomorrow morning. So that should be resolved shortly. We have about 35 LEAs left that we had to reach out to after the fall one deadline because there were two validations that weren't quite working correctly, and the CDE wants that data fixed. So if you do get an email from somebody at CSIS FICMAT, please make sure you address it. And also there's two steps to it. Fix the errors that are in question, but also go to your newer revision once those changes are implemented, and then certify that newer one. So that way CDE will pick up those changes.
Thanks, Angela. And I don't know if we have anybody from the CD's CalPADS operations office online, but anything from the special ed department?
Happy New Year, everybody. No, but that's only because this is my first day back into the office. I was in a full day training the last 2 days. I will say that please continue to work on your degree of support. I don't have numbers as of today, but I ran the counts on December 23rd, and there were still nearly 76,000 student records without degree of support that had qualifying disability 1 or 2 codes. So please continue to work on getting those codes updated.
Great. Thanks, Dominic. All right. Well, I guess we'll get started on the questions now. And our first question is for Dominic. Happy New Year, Dominic, from Suan Minden. New Year, same question.
Unfortunately, New Year, same answer. But again, that is only because this is my first day back, and Brandy was out of the country for most of December. So I will get in touch with her and see what's going on with that tomorrow.
Great. Q1 from Natasha. For the new V101HI special ed course codes, are those only required for students who have those disabilities as their primary disability? Are they also required for students with those corresponding special ed service records, even if it's not their primary disability?
I'll just jump in and say I don't know anything about these course codes.
So these are the visually impaired.
Oh, that stands for. I couldn't figure that out.
Well, I'm going to butcher that O, but I think it's hearing impaired is the third one. I know that we don't have any validations that are going to prevent it or that are validating the student's disabilities with that course code. But I also can't guarantee that that won't create a misassignment with the teacher. Because that's, the whole point, right, is to make sure that the teacher is properly assigned or properly credentialed. So maybe a question you want to put in as a ticket with CALPADS.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, Q1 from Joanne. For the online credit recovery courses, how or who do we report as the teacher of record? Is this where we can use the 99s or as the SEID? And Suan Minden said, yes, since it's online, you do not have a C to report, also not an STEM or a SAS. That sounds right.
I found an FAQ on this one. I'll put it in the chat. Because I believe that the thinking is that even though the teacher, that whoever is the individual that is providing the primary instruction of the course, even if that is an online teacher that is maybe outside of the state, they should have proper credentials.
Yeah, and if you do use the 10-9 wildcard, then you can't put in the right information. I mean, it's an option, but that will be I think Brandy has said too, that'll be I forget what the word is now.
Yeah, an exception or misassignment.
Exception, yeah.
Yeah. So yes, but, right?
Okay. Q1 from Angela. Would any outstanding degree of support codes prevent a SELPA from approving a district's Fall 1 reports?
Only if those missing degree of support codes were on plans with a plan effective start date effective July 1st, 2025 or later, because those are the plans that are being looked at by the validation. The validation doesn't look at plans that have an effective start date prior to July 1st, 2025. So those would sort of sneak under the radar and would not prevent approval.
Thanks, Dominic. Q1 from Teresa. Is there a recording or the materials available from the 2025-2026 IEP implementation data collection training?
I'll drop the link to the materials in the chat right now, and I will see if the recording has been posted yet. I was not aware that it had been posted prior to the winter break, so I'll reach out and see if it's up somewhere.
All right. Q1 from Stephanie. Hi, Angela. Can you repeat what your announcement was about the fixing errors? Do we know when the CSIS office will reach out if we are one of the districts that need to fix the errors?
Is that West Contra Costa? There's no W's on my list, so you're in the clear, Stephanie.
I just confirmed there are none of the relevant errors for West Contra Costa.
there were about 35 LEAs that have errors now that they weren't getting prior to certification, so that things that got fixed after the deadline, but that CDE really does want that data to be corrected. One of them only impacted County Office of Education school districts where and they were missing the district of geographic residence. And then the other one had to do with students not having a demographic record that overlapped census day. And in that case, those kids didn't even get counted for fall one. So hopefully most people caught that ahead of time and fixed it. But there were a handful that missed a few kids, mostly TK kids that were new this year. And generally they're like 1 or 2 errors. There was one outlier, a unified district that had 40 of those, but the rest were just onesie twosies. And the email would have gone out. Well, it's hard to say because we're all doing our own individually. So sometime after the deadline and this week, you would have gotten an email. But like I said, you're not on the list, Stephanie.
Great. Q1 from Bernice. We have a high school program for adults, and I wanted to confirm whether students who qualify as homeless but are over 22 years old are still eligible to be reported as homeless in CALPADS. I believe if they are in a high school that's up to grade 12 and they're counted as up to grade 12, then yes.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, Gary. If they're still enrolled, grade 12, transition program, transition indicator set to yes, then they're just being treated like a student at that point. So I would say they'd be included.
Thanks, Paul. Q1 from Terry. Are foster students the only subgroup that could be foster on census day? And if the status changes after census day, will no longer be part of the report counted as foster. It makes it difficult to reconcile the foster students.
Direct cert falls into that category too, Terry. So yes, both of those can be a little frustrating to have to reconcile after the fact, but the 1.18 will tell you which kids are counted in those two categories. And while I got you, Terry, I did see your ticket for your meeting on Friday. I have asked somebody, the foster person at CDE, if she's available. I haven't heard back from her yet, but I can probably be available, but I don't think I would add much value. I think we'd want the foster expert to be on the call.
Q1 from G. Cohen. In regards to fall 2, if a teacher does not have an EL authorization, should the ed services still be a 3 or a 4 in our SIS? We are aware that teaching EL students without authorization is in fact a misassignment, but is it too late for this year? Well, since fall 2 is still going on, if the corrections could be made, I think you're okay if you put in the correct status for the students. But maybe I'm misunderstanding the question. I don't know.
It looks like it's ultimately a question for the SIS for reporting there. I'm looking in the code sets for the 3 and the 4, but
yeah.
Can't find the correlation in CalPads yet.
I mean, are they being provided those services that are the code 3 and 4? Because I think that's what CalPads is collecting. And then unfortunately, if you did have a teacher that's providing those services but isn't authorized, that yeah, it would be a misassignment. But I think CalPads you would still, if they're being provided those, but I'm sorry, I don't know what those two codes do find as, but you would probably still want to put them in there as that.
So I think what's happening is that those are codes that are attributed to courses rather than the teacher, and those are the English service codes for either ELD or designated ELD, integrated ELD, or both. And so you would report what is accurately happening in that classroom, and you would just kind of be forced to just take the misassignment because that's what occurred in fact at the LEA.
Thanks, Matt.
Sorry for my confusion on the 3 and 4 codes. Those are codes in CalPads. I was just looking in the wrong place.
It's all right. Q1 from Claudia. I was late today and just heard about errors for several districts. Is there a list of districts with the errors?
Not available publicly, but what you could do is if anybody's concerned about that, if maybe you missed an email or something, you could go today and check your data discrepancy screen and change the severity filter to all. And the two errors in question, well, one's an error and one's a warning that should be fatal. So that's why CDE wants it fixed. The SENR 717, which is the missing demographic record, is a fatal. And then the warning is SENR 745. If you have either of that error or that warning, fix that and then go to your revised and certified once it refreshes and certify that version instead.
Okay, and related to Q1 from Judy, Angela, who would have gotten the email regarding the errors?
Would have gone to the LEA admin that we have on file, not the SULPA. And Fresno is not on the list.
Q1 from Carrie. We've been discussing in our SELPA the RSP, SDC, DIS designations that are still active in the code set. We're curious if these designations are still needed, and if so, how is it used?
I'm not aware that they're still being used, but I am reaching out to the team just to see if I missed anything. But to my knowledge, the RSP, SDC, DIS designations are not collected.
Great, thanks, Dominic. Is from Shelley, Q1, is Hacienda La Puente on the list, Angela?
They are not. And Shelley, you would have caught it because the kids wouldn't have been counted and you would have. But like I said, if anybody's concerned, just hop over right now to the data discrepancy screen and double check your errors there.
Q1 from Selena.
You forgot, Angela, this is a highly motivated group. All we had to do was in the announcements say, hey, go check your newly revised and check for these errors. If you got them, fix them.
Done that, yeah.
That's true. Good point, Paul.
Q1 from Selena. For the degree of support validation on 16.14, would I run it as of July 1st, 2025? Would that report retrieve the errors that are based on those specific disability 1 and 2 codes that cause an error for a missing degree of support, or does it pull all students with a blank degree of support regardless of the specific disability?
Actually, your best course of action is to run your current revised uncertified 16.14 report for fall 1 and take a look at all of the students that are listed there. Filter for the specific disability 1 and 2 codes and ensure that any student that has either has a degree of support populated. I have a document that kind of walks through that process that I'll post a link to in the chat.
One more comment on those LEAs that have those errors. People are responding to me that I've emailed and they're saying, okay, thanks, I fixed it. They're missing step 2, which is to hop over to your revised uncertified copy and make sure that change is reflected there and certifying that new one. If you don't do that step, CDE is not going to see your changes.
Yep. All right, we're 22 minutes in and out of questions. We do have a large group today. Oh, here we go. Go ahead, Alex. Did you have something?
I was going to go back to Berenice's question at 314. The question was about homeless programs for students that are over 22 years old. It rang a bell for me, and I remember I checked. We have a new validation coming in for end of year 1, SPRG 743. We are going to be validating the age on homeless records, but the cap is 25 years old. So long as the student is not older than 25, then you should be okay reporting that record.
Okay, thanks, Alex. All right, Q2 from Teresa. We had a speech-only special education preschool student who was attending one of our local Head Start preschools. She stopped attending about a month and a half ago, and the parent has not responded to multiple attempts to contact. If we do not receive a response from the parent and need to exit the student, do we need to use the 74 dropout code in the SEIS to exit even though it is a preschool student, or is there another exit code that would be appropriate?
You'll want to consult the data crosswalk in SEIS to see what codes populate what students with disability status records, and then take a look at the special education file submission scenarios to see what the expected data elements are for this situation, and ensure that the code you use in SEIS creates a students with disability status record that has the appropriate status and non-participation code.
Okay, great. Shelly is asking, are we talking about fall 1 DDs? And yes, we are. I have one out there now, and I didn't obviously when I certified. Yeah, new errors can always crop up as data changes. But I think if it's not the specific ones that Angela's talking about,
It's not, but
yeah.
I would say go ahead and fix it. You know, that's what this period of time is
Yeah.
for, is to make sure that the data is as squeaky clean as possible. So you've got the one error, and so I'd say go ahead and fix it.
Yep. And then don't forget you have to recertify after you fix it with the
Yes,
revised
don't
version.
forget that step.
Suan has a comment. Congrats to Marcy on her retirement.
Way to go, Marcy. That's exciting. She says today's her last Q&A.
Oh boy. I'm not looking at chat, so
We'll
I
miss
didn't
you,
see
Marcy.
that. Q1 from Sharmila. Do ELAS code warnings also need to be fixed before the amendment window? It kind of depends on what the warning is. Some warnings you can be treated more as informational, but if they affect numbers, counts, and things that should be reflected accurately for fall 1, then you would want to correct them. So I guess it depends on what the warning is actually.
Yeah, and the one I was talking about, it technically should be a fatal. I think there was some concern about making it fatal right before the initial deadline. I think we'll find out tomorrow if it's going to be turned into a fatal before the final deadline, but it really should have been fatal. It just got introduced so late. It was like, that's the way to make you very angry, is to introduce brand new errors right before the deadline. So we made it a warning initially.
So she's saying invalid TBD English language acquisition status code, invalid ELAS code for language instruction program. So it sounds like the students may have LIP, or we call LIP, or language instruction program records with a code that doesn't agree with the value they have, which may be a TBD. So they should maybe they haven't been tested yet. So if they hadn't been tested yet by census day, there's really nothing you could do. So that warning would be that's why you're getting the warning. But if it's one that you could correct or could have been corrected, then you would want to correct it. Yeah, not tested yet. Yeah, so yeah, there's nothing you could do if they haven't been tested. You couldn't change that. Q1 from Rebecca. Follow up to what Alex said. Will that homeless validation have an impact on what some LEAs, mainly charters, report for the students who are over the age of 25? I believe some charters have high school students of various ages.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't be able to report the program anymore, right? For students that are 26 years old or older.
Yeah. Q1 from Catherine. Would I need to certify in the amendment window the LA disapproved or the revised uncertified for fall 1? You definitely want to do the revised uncertified because that's the one that keeps generating, even after you've approved, you could still get, if there's changes in data, you'll still get revised uncertified versions. The one that you approve freezes. It doesn't change. So you make corrections, it's not going to change. You have to disapprove it, but it's not going to change. So you always want to go to that certification screen, and then the right upper right, there's a box for status, revision status. You always want to make sure and select revised and certified, and then give this page about 10 seconds to update, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, and make sure you're looking at the date, revision status date, to make sure that's updating to the new date and not the date that you disapproved that's showing up there. And the one with the due date will be the one that has everything new. And of course, all your data, if you make corrections, there may be changes in your data. So all the reports will have red check marks again. So you have to go back and review those reports, which should reflect any data that was corrected with new statuses or data in those reports. Q1 from Udira. For contracted teachers, would we select their position status as other instead of probationary or tenured? I think other is an option for contracted teachers.
Yes. So the definition for other specifically states teachers who are not officially employees of the district and are contracted employees from another agency. And so that is one of the primary purposes of that code 4.
Great. Thanks, Matt. All right. 30 minutes in.
I just dropped a link to that fall 1 degree of support and certification report 16.14 document. It's in the office hours box site, and the link's in the chat.
Thanks, Dominic.
Marcy says she's got 25 years working in education under her belt, 10 years of those at
nice.
CALPADS.
I have 5 more years to go, and I'll have 25 years.
I think I hit 25 this year.
Yep. Boy.
So Anne is wondering if we're all enjoying the sunshine for those of us that have been sucked in
It's so
fog for
nice.
2 months.
I know.
Yeah.
Just go out there, and I know it's not good for you, but I just don't look at it, but I just put my face in the sun. It's like, there you are.
My little brother got married on New Year's Eve, kind of up past Auburn in the foothills, and driving down up from Sacramento, it was just completely socked into fog, and I was like, oh no, because the wedding was outside at like sunset, and as soon as we hit just past Auburn, it was like, oh, the sun's out, yay.
And the forecast shows sun all the way through the weekend.
And that
Oh,
sounds
nice.
good, doesn't it?
I saw those stories. I don't know why people do it, but over the weekend, there was a lot of people that headed up to Tahoe from the Bay Area, and they were stuck on Highway 50 for 4 or 5 hours. Why do you guys do that?
Because it was snowing.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
snowing.
Oh,
The roads was, they had to close the road, accidents, spin outs. You moved, one person moved a mile and it took them 2 hours to move 1 mile.
My nightmare, getting stuck in a car like that.
Yep.
The bike lanes were still pretty free. I think you may have been able to.
Oh, Angela's gonna bike all the way to Tahoe.
Yeah, there was a welcoming dinner the night before for my brother's wedding, and I didn't go because then everybody was like, why didn't you make it up here? I was like, oh, it's a little too far to ride on my bike.
Any more questions? We're still,
Oh boy, Yadira, yikes.
yeah.
Mm.
Asha says, question 1, is this a good place to see if we have any new errors? Certification detail screen towards the bottom, revision history.
I would go to the data discrepancy screen. It's probably the most informative place you're going to find them. And then earlier in the chat, Kyron posted the 2 validations that that CDE is concerned about that they want people to fix.
Well, I think we might just call this one a little earlier. People are still getting into the new year, I think. Since we're not having any more questions and I see people are starting to drop off anyways. What do you think, Angela?
That sounds good to me, Gary.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for helping out today, and thanks for attending the meeting. We'll be back again next Wednesday for the 2nd annual Q&A of the year.